we're not done yet. Greetings everyone, this is Vaza here, and welcome back to Sheep, Dog and Wolf. Last time, we completed the game. We captured all of the aliens and then got sent back to Earth, only to realize that this entire game show was actually all just a dream. Except we're still in the studio, so I don't know what that says about it. But anyway, this time, as this is a bonus episode, we will be going through all sorts of bonus stuff and things I didn't get to show you in the main game playthrough that I think you would want to see. We'll play through the entire game one more time and check out everything we have missed. Let's start from the very beginning. I never properly showed you the animation that happens when you run off the cliff and find that there is no more solid ground beneath you. The classic cartoon fall never gets old. The speedrunning strategy for this level includes you getting the sheep first, leading it across the bridge, and then while the sheep is crossing the bridge, you take the dynamite and blow up the rocks. By the time that the rocks are blown up, you already have the sheep and you can just run straight into the goal. You can actually run across most of the dog fields in this game, like this one is stage number 2. As a useful tip, the dog doesn't run towards your location, but the location you're going towards. And here's another example. Since you're on the ledge, the dog tries to go around the ledge, and you can use that little bit of confusion to your advantage to cross the field. The speedrunners also love to do this level without using the flute. All you need to do is to get the fan, use this middle rock pillar to hide from the dog, then wait for the dog to face towards the left, get a little bit of leeway while sneaking with the sheep, and then once the dog sees you, you once again use this ledge, you make the dog go around, and then once the dog is on the ledge, you run for the raft and sail away into the distance. And here's a good close call example that shows that as long as you reach the circle with the sheep, it really does not matter what happens to you afterwards. You still beat the level and go back to the lobby. Speaking of which, I never properly showed you what happens when you get hit by the pool, so here you go. Now this is an interesting one. Here I compared two different speed routes in this Secret B1 level. On the big screen, you see the strategy that one of the speedrunners used in the all levels category of this game. And on the small screen, you see my own strategy, the one that I used in my playthrough, which is a retake to make sure it's as fast as possible. My strategy includes you getting the elastic band, then going straight towards the sheep, getting it up on the ledge, going around, and then getting the sheep next to the fence, and then grabbing it through the fence in order to get it into the goal. The speedrunning strategy, however, involves you both getting the elastic band and the fan, and then once you have the fan, you take the raft over to this cliff, you do a little bit of fanning and walking back and forth on the raft. After you do it enough times, you actually get the raft to exit the water and run across land, air, and everything else. You still get stuck on ledges though. Now your goal is to get the sheep on top of the raft, and then once you get the sheep on the raft, you just blow your raft over to the goal, take the sheep, and jump straight into the goal. However, I want to compare those two strategies. As you can see on the bottom right now, I am almost done with this level. The sheep is right there, and then I grab it through and I am already done. And the speedrunning strategy, I am still in the middle of doing it. The speedrunning strategy does not only appear to be slower than my strategy, but also it's a lot more difficult and a lot less reliable because it depends a lot on how fast you are able to get the raft to exit the water, and how well you are able to connect the rubber band to the trees, because that appears to be a lot more difficult than it really needs to be. This is a really fun strategy, but my one just seems faster. In the PAL version of this game, there is actually a bridge connecting these two landmasses. While this is not the PAL version, I can still show you a strategy that would work if this was the PAL version. First, you skip this dog by alerting it over to your jumping location, but then jumping over the dog and running past the mines to get to safety. Then you get some lettuce, fling yourself back on the mainland, and then use the lettuce you grabbed before to lure the sheep behind the dog from behind the dog. The dog is still there because you never used the flute that this level provides you. Now as you can see, there is nothing more I can do here because there is no bridge. But if there was one, you could walk straight to the end. But in this current state we can only use the pit. However, the Sam skip is still pretty useful. You just have to go back to get the sheep after you lose them, then dodge these mines like an absolute boss because defusing these things takes way too much effort and time, then skip this slide because nobody likes it because this slide is way too slow and clunky for my liking, and then finish the level like you normally would. You can run across gaps in this level. And you can also completely skip the umbrella because you can just barely land on the edge of the crane and jump up on the ledge that would normally be inaccessible. And when I said you can run across gaps, I really freaking mean you can run across the gaps. You then get the sheep and complete the rest of the level like you normally would. No need for any umbrellas unless you want the clock. One thing that I recently learned about is that you can actually skip the cutscene that plays when you're going back in time. All you need to do is press the escape key both during the inwards and the outwards circle transition. You can also do that when going back to the future, or the present I guess. You can also see that there is a complete still frame when I don't press the escape button. You can use the mailbox to get up to the lettuce, and just jump off the rock to get yourself across the river. The speedrunning strategy for this level is really cool. You use the clock right under the dog's nose, and then get some really interesting, weird, wonky cutscenes in the process, and then get teleported to the beginning for some reason. You can push this rock without the dragon breathing fire on you, and then once you go back through the portal, the dog will not see you because you're in the portal and the dog will be looking in a different direction. You can then just take out your lettuce, and then bring the sheep along with you. The rest of the level is pretty self-explanatory. You've probably done this before and you've probably seen it before, so that's just that. This one isn't that special, but you can just kind of jump this gap and pretend the mines don't even exist. And also, if you lose your robot in the sand, you get zapped. Marvelous. I wanted to find out what the bees do, and apparently the bees do the exact same thing that the lava bubbles do in the lava areas. When Gossamer gets you here, he does not grab you and hug you, but he slams you and dunks you. Luckily I hit the red hot iron, so I landed back on the boss stage. Also, it turns out you can only get Gossamer dizzy if you run around him in the counterclockwise direction and not the clockwise direction, which is really freaking dumb. I also never showed you what happens when a ghost gets you. I did say they zap you, but I never showed you how they zap you, so here you go. And I feel ashamed for never showing you the ghost area. I mean, look, there's a ghost drummer, there are ghosts talking to each other. This is such a cool area of the game that I somehow never showed you by getting too distracted. I have no idea how. And look at this jail. It looks so big and epic. It's like a castle. But anyway, there is an alternate solution to this level, which starts off with you getting killed right in front of the jail door. Now I don't know the specifics, but this is probably the setup so you don't die in front of this jail later on. Because after you get the sheep, you're going to put your costume back on and go back in front of the jail door, and now you don't get killed. Now what the game wants to do is to take both your costume and the sheep, and it checks for the location of both you and the sheep, but if you're in front of the jail door, then the game does not recognize it, and thus you can use the robot to take the sheep all the way back through the maze into the starting location. And now you need to put on the ghost costume yourself. If you take off the ghost costume after getting away from the jail, you will get caught immediately, so do not take it off. In fact, once you reach the goal, you can actually hear the whisperings and see yourself shiver. Credit to Aster for showing it. If you enter Sam's ship without his permission, you get shot. And now I will show you something glorious. You can beat this level with a singular coin because Sam gets so distracted over it that you can launch the sheep cannon before Sam gets back to stop you. I also got curious what happens if you enter Sam's jail with Sam in it. Spoilers, you get shot. If you are wondering what happens if you enter the train tunnel, the train travels through space and time just to run you over. If the dog grabs you in your sheep form... Dog? Okay, there we go. If the dog grabs you in your sheep form in the train level specifically, you will get brought back, but he will soon realize that, wait a minute, you're not a sheep, and then kicks your lights out. And now I will show you the intentional solution for the train stage. You have to push the boulder onto the seesaw, which sends the sheep onto the train to take a ride. But if the train takes a full circle around the place, the sheep goes flying back towards the dog and you have to start all over again. You're also racing Roadrunner, but you don't need to worry about him, he is optional. What you do have to worry about though is the train. Don't run face first into it. You now take some leeway on Roadrunner to make sure he does not run over the blue button which closes the gate behind you, and if you run fast enough, the train should be right here and you can get the sheep and do the solution that I showed you in the normal playthrough. Try to avoid re-pressing the button after you get the sheep though. Since there's no door for the alien stage, I was wondering what happens if you exit the alien stage. Turns out it just gives you negative progress and makes you do the train stage over again, so don't do that. And now time for some Miss Daffy lines.
Wonderful! Don't forget to find all the time clocks. Well done! Our contestant is stupendous!
And finally, the thing you've all been waiting for. The bonus trophy. We have got exactly 17 points, so we can buy everything. The last bonus point you get by defeating the alien stage, so don't worry about anything. So while we're going through these character sketches and other sketches, I want to give my final words about this playthrough. I initially wanted to start doing this playthrough as like a form of getting myself back to talk. I thought this game was really cool. I remembered myself playing this game way back when I was like really young. I'm probably like about 10 or 12 or so. I remember this game very fondly. Initially I just wanted to play the game just for the sake of it, but I enjoyed this game so much that I thought, you know what? I want to play this game for YouTube as well. And so this plan initiated. I started by just figuring out how to even record this thing, because this game is one of those games that has to be on the disk drive, and when that thing is activated, then things turn a little bit weird. In fact, when I'm recording this video, even right now, I am recording this video in 1080p, but the bottom right and the bottom side and the right side of the screen are completely black, so I have to resize the video itself. I had to end up doing 1440 times 5 times 900 pixels for the video itself. For the scale of the game, the scale can go up to full HD, but when it does that, it completely freaks out my computer, and then I am zoomed in on my computer and I can't see half the screen. But yeah. I had some problems recording this video before. I had this scenario where the videos would be dark. Apparently it's the problem with OBS. I'm not sure how to fix it. I played around with settings a lot, but nothing seemed to really fix it. I ended up using Handbrake, a video conversion tool that converts the MP4 into M4V, I think it was. And that seems to make the video be viewed equally brightly in every device. So that worked out well for me. Unfortunately, I only figured that out like super late, so I was only able to initiate that on episode 6 and onwards, which is a bit sad, but I cannot be asked to do episodes 1 to 5 again. especially because the recording part of this playthrough is the most difficult for me, specifically the talking aspect. I did YouTube before, like years ago, back when I was innocent and younger, and I just did things for the sake of doing them, but nowadays it's a lot more difficult. In fact, in my day-to-day life, I would spend like an average amount of like 30 seconds per day just talking, opening my mouth and making sounds that is not whispering. And I'm not even exaggerating or under-exaggerating. I would legitimately talk like less than 30 seconds a day. So you can imagine that deciding to do YouTube videos and suddenly talking out of nowhere would be really difficult for me. I had a lot of trouble recording these videos and just finding conversation to talk about. When you don't spend every day talking a lot, it really becomes difficult to find conversation topics. And very often I would find myself be very silent and just running out of conversation topics and then not knowing how to continue. I have had to redo so many of these videos so many times. I would be like 5 minutes into the recording and be like, no, I have to redo this entire video. And I would do that over and over and over again. I'm pretty sure I've done that like 70 times or so throughout this entire 19 episode playthrough. Maybe even more than 70. I'm not sure, I didn't count, but I did that a lot. I'm not sure how normal YouTubers find the conversation topics. Maybe that's just like an experience thing. I probably need a lot more experience in talking, which is also why I am doing this playthrough. Talking in life is pretty useful, and the ability to talk and do good teamwork is also pretty useful, so I just wanted to be able to talk again for once. And this just gives me the opportunity. It is a little bit difficult right now, but hopefully I'll be able to get back my voice and get back my ability to both talk and make conversation topics. I'm not sure how consistent my upload schedule is going to become from now onwards. I wanted to do a very consistent schedule. I was thinking about uploading these videos every day, but I thought to begin with I would do every other day, because doing them every day is a little bit scary. So that's where I'm at right now. As for a couple of games I want to play in the future, I want to do Bomber Grounds, the Battle Royale game, and I want to do the Honey Pop 2nd game. I also want to play Terraria 1.4, The Journey's End, once that comes out, and I've also got some other games in mind that I may have forgotten right now, but anyway, we'll see what happens. I've also got Platform Racing 2 in mind. I want to do that, but we'll see where I end up. I'm not sure where I want to go from this point onwards, but that is it. That's all for now. This has been Sheepdog and Wolf. This was my playthrough. This was my attempt at getting better at talking again. If you enjoyed these videos, make sure to, leave some nice comments, maybe like the videos, maybe subscribe to see some more. It would be very nice to talk to somebody other than myself all the time. And other than that, this has been Vaza. I hope you enjoyed this playthrough, and I'll see you in my next playthrough whenever that might happen, of whatever game that might happen on. But for now, I'm signing off. Take care.